Welcome everyone to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. What a dramatic week it was at the National Assembly, particularly the Senate. It all culminated in the suspension of the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Senator Natasha Akpabio. We'll let the pictures tell the story, beginning from the Three Arms Zone.
In the early hours of Wednesday, dramatic scenes unfolded at the gates of the National Assembly as supporters of Senator Natasha Akpabio and Senate President Akpabio staged a protest at the National Assembly. The demonstration took a tense turn as security operatives fired tear gas to disperse the crowd.
Nobody shot it, I saw the person.
Senator Natasha later arrived at the National Assembly complex in the company of her husband. She proceeded to settle in her newly assigned seat, and as the Senate President made his way into the chamber, she did not stand, as is customary in the Senate. The President of the Senate commenced plenary by dismissing allegations of sexual harassment.
I would like to state clearly that at no time did I ever attempt any sexual harassment on the said distinguished Senator Akpabio or any other woman for that matter. And I therefore have the highest regards for women. I also wish to state that I also have 4 beautiful daughters. So at no time will I ever harass any woman. And I've never done so. In addition, even as a state governor, I was awarded various awards. One of them was the one you wish to know, the most gender-friendly governor in Nigeria. I served between 2007 and 2015.
By a senator who shall affix his
Immediately after, Senator Akpabio raised a petition.
The petition is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition.
You may proceed.
In a twist, the Senate Chief Whip read the rules, laying the foundation for the eventual rejection of the petition.
That our rules, in very clear and unambiguous terms, in Rule 40 and specifically Rule 7, states that Senate should not receive or deliberate on any matter to which actions are pending in any court of law. And for your information, Mr. President, distinguished senators, this matter is sub judice.
I beg to differ that this matter is sub judice. And I stand on privilege 10, order 10, which is on privileges.
Sorry.
Dear Senate President, please, with due respect, do you mind? I have raised an order 10, privileges, sir, please. So permit me to speak without my microphone being silenced, dear sir, President of the Nigerian Senate. Order 10 on privileges.
Coincidentally, I'm hearing you.
Your refusal to accept and treat my petition before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Abuse of my privileges, and I say forth that this matter is not sub judice, it is not before the court. The matter before the court is on the defamation and cyberbullying statements made by your special assistant on new media, Mr. Patrick Umfom.
The observance of the rules of the Senate, Section 47 and the other sections that have been quoted by my learned brother there, should be the responsibility of that committee. So close the matter, hand over to the committee, then the committee will be privileged to look at the rules and then take whatever decision is appropriate under our rules.
Mr. President, I sympathize with you. As a man being accused of sexual harassment, I am not going to comment on that because there will be an ample opportunity for the relevant authorities to deal with that. But I know, dear colleagues, that distinguished Senator Natasha went to court on a matter, then appeared on Arise TV on another matter, talking about sexual harassment. And the wife of the President of the Senate, Mrs. Uloma Akpabio, on behalf of the family, the children, went to court, and parties have been served on allegation of sexual harassment. So it is important for the public to know.
Given the clarification, the Senate proceeded with the business of the day. Upon conclusion of plenary, the Committee on Ethics and Code of Conduct commenced its investigation, receiving the testimonies of 2 witnesses.
Our distinguished colleague, Senator Natasha Akpabio, was properly notified of this meeting, and to also further let you know that she was on the floor of the Senate today, and she contributed to the proceedings of today, and it was also announced on the floor of the Senate that this meeting was going to hold at 2 o'clock at this venue, room 120. Again, I'm hoping that she will be here to give us her side of the story.
One of my staff, in person of Sandra, she approached her because she's not in charge of register table and reports. So she told her, as I directed them, that this your seat had been moved to so. She said, where? I said, you have moved to that place. She said, no. Please, over my dead body, I will not be there. Nobody can move me to that place.
It is not Godwin Akpabio's Senate. He is the presiding officer, but it is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is therefore our responsibility to protect that institution. The moment we all or anybody pisses in the communal pool, we have a problem. That we must understand. The moment we allow any senator to piss in the communal pool, we have a problem. And that is what we are experiencing here.
The petition she presented today is actually dead on arrival. And I say that because it runs contrary to Order 40, subsection 4, that no senator may present to the Senate a petition signed by him or herself. And that petition, having been signed by her, will not be entertained by this committee.
The next day, once again, Senator Natasha Akpabio refused to stand as the Senate President led the leadership of the Senate into the Red Chamber and was called out by the Chief Whip of the Senate.
All the media yesterday reported that when the Senate President is entering, she didn't observe that rule. And today also, she didn't observe that rule. I have to send one of the Sergeant at Arms to her that her conduct is in breach of this rule. The Sergeant at Arms is here. She came and reported back to me that she is not going to stand up, still in breach of this rule. Mr. President, distinguished senators, as I said earlier on, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
The Senate moved on as Senator Natasha sought permission to submit another petition alleging sexual harassment against the Senate President.
The petition is against the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuses of office, and malicious obstruction of legislative functions of distinguished Senator Natasha Akpabio. So with your kind permission, may I please lay this petition?
Is there any legal impediment?
On the subject matter, none, sir.
Please proceed to lay the petition.
Shortly after, the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions submitted its report detailing its investigation into the alleged unparliamentary conduct of Senator Akpabio.
All efforts to get Senator Natasha Akpabio to move to her newly assigned seat fell on deaf ears as Senator Natasha Akpabio continued shouting on top of her voice and pointing her fingers at the presiding officer.
The recommendations contained in the report read by the chairman included a 6-month suspension.
If you follow the sequence, issues of discrimination cannot be proven. It is actually the opposite, that under your leadership, distinguished Senator Mrs. Uduaghan can claim victimization based on facts. And I urge her to reflect deeply about tomorrow, because she can do nothing about yesterday, but she can mend by recognizing that to apologize for what you have found to be wrong.
Now that even the committee has given a window of possible mitigation of this sentence, we want to ask if it is convenient for the Senate and Mr. President that the 6 months punishment for suspension be reduced to 3 months.
It is upheld that most distinguished Senator Natasha Akpabio be so suspended. Then my advice and appeal to her will be that she spends her period of suspension to read and learn our rules very well.
Prayer 1. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpabio for 6 months for a total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended, for bringing the presiding officer and the entire Nigerian Senate in general to public opprobrium. With effect from 6th day of March 2025, from all legislative activities forward. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Natasha Akpabio shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration by the Nigerian Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. For the duration of her suspension, she cannot come or be seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly.
Following the ruling, Senator Akpabio was escorted out of the chamber by the Sergeant-at-Arms, but not without a final word.
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
Now, away from the drama in the Red Chamber to some calm in the Green Chamber, the Deputy Speaker has been away so far for almost 2 weeks. So the Committee of the Whole has not considered any bills or reports. Hopefully, he returns by next week. But as light as this week was for members of the House of Representatives, there were some remarkable motions and bills. Take a listen.
It was a light week in the House of Representatives. A motion of urgent national importance was presented by the minority leader, drawing attention to allegations of diversion of public funds.
The House is worried that the persistent allegations of the diversion and mismanagement of these funds, as well as the potential failure to utilize them for their intended purposes.
The House resolved to investigate take-off grants, bailout funds, and intervention given to ministries, departments, and agencies from 2015 till date.
Those against you say nay. That is of it.
Another proposal before the House is a bill sponsored by the Speaker of the House and another lawmaker, Honorable Marcus Onobun, seeking, amongst others, to regulate funding of political parties.
In accordance with the provision of the bill, the registrar of political parties established under Clause 29 of this bill shall oversee the registration of political parties merger, political parties dispute tribunal, which shall determine dispute between members of political parties and a political party.
However, Honorable Solomon Bomb fears that the bill seems to be in conflict with the Electoral Act.
A lot of the aspirational principles, it seeks to achieve dispute between parties and members, and between members and parties, tribunal, and things like that. These aspirations, in my view, are already captured within certain frameworks.
Similarly, a constitution amendment bill for the establishment of a National Local Government Electoral Commission as an independent body has been read for the first time in the House.
Bachelor of Technology.
Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, through a bill, is leading the charge to abolish the dichotomy and discrimination between bachelor's degrees and higher national diplomas. According to the Speaker, the bill seeks to replace HND with BTech so that graduates of polytechnics will be able to compete with other university graduates. The bill has now scaled second reading in the House of Representatives.
We should move for the abolishment of HND, and in place of it to have Bachelor of Technology as a replacement, so that at least graduates of polytechnics will be able to compete hand in hand with other universities. And at the same time, they are proposing for a hybrid supervision, where the degree component of the polytechnic education will be handled by NUC, while the diploma, ND, national diploma, will continue to be handled by NBTE.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has commenced hearing into the proposed amendments to the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act. The chairman of the committee, Mariam Onoha, said the intention of the bill was to correct rising issues of poor implementation of projects.
The Speaker of the House of Reps, who himself is the sponsor of this bill, recommended several sections or subsections of the major Section 7 of the TED Fund Act for amendment to strengthen the guidelines for the assessing and utilization of the TED Fund interventions to beneficiary institutions.
Welcome back to the Gavel. Time now for the breakdown as the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, reacts to a bill seeking to, among other things, establish a commission to regulate funding of political parties.
I think it's so very important, the bill to regulate political parties. I do know that the government had set up some time ago a committee that was known as the Committee on Electoral and Political Parties Regulation Commission, headed by former Senate President Ken Namani. And that committee recommended the creation of not just an Electoral Offences Commission, but an Electoral Offences and Political Parties Regulation Commission. The reason for merging these two issues is that because most of the offences related to electoral offences are committed by politicians who are associated with political parties. And the whole idea of creating a separate commission or body to register political parties and mediate in the conflicts within political parties is informed by the fact that political parties have become less able to settle their internal disputes. Democracy within political parties has deteriorated, and as we see at the present time, almost every single political party in this country is involved in its own turmoil. A lot of cases are in courts, and sometimes the decisions of the courts or the way that the courts operate regarding political parties is influenced by the litigants themselves, the politicians themselves. So a commission that is given some independence, given powers to mediate, to intervene, and to regulate political parties, I think would be quite welcome. You certainly shouldn't have a situation where political parties in the country are inactive as we speak, and the issue of internal democracy is missing. As we approach the elections in 2027, it is really important that you have strong political parties working to produce strong candidates that will give Nigeria a competitive election. So I think that the idea of this bill, I understand is sponsored by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I think the idea of this bill is really important and key to help in get the political parties to operate within the confines of of the Constitution and the objectives for which they are set up.
And to wrap things up, here's an opportunity to catch up with your representative on Constituency Focus. Our feature is Honorable Dumnamene Deko, representing Kana Federal Constituency of Rivers State in the House of Representatives.
My constituency, which is Kana, is made up of about 36 wards and close to 200 communities. And these communities are all autonomous. And it's in the heart of Ogoni land, which is one of the largest constituencies we have around. And it's a place that development has not been really much felt, particularly the federal presence. But by the grace of God, in our sojourn in the Green Chambers, we have been able to bring home a few projects. I think one of them of note is the constituency headquarters, which happens to be the senatorial headquarters of the Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. And coincidentally too, the headquarters of the Ogoni people, which is Bori. You can't find land there anymore because of issues of expansion. So we just thought it wise and we're able to make provision in the budget for a road and a very big bridge that takes us from there to a community called Kor. In fact, the road lands between Kor and Kani, which opens into a very large expanse of arable land, and which has made it possible now for the community to, to grow towards that direction. We had a small program which we do annually, for my immediate community, where we're able to get 188 undergraduates and 32 postgraduate students. We're able to give them what we call education grant. For the undergraduates, 50,000. For the postgraduates, 100,000. We have been able to intervene very seriously in the provision of the consumables, books, computers, and all of that, writing desk, all of that, in about 5 major secondary schools in the constituency. Bodo City Girls in Gokana, Community Secondary School Yege in Gokana. We have the Community Secondary School Bori, which is at the headquarters of the constituency. We have in Berry High School in Berry, and CSS Kono, which is a boundary town between Kana local government and Opobo, Nkoro local government. We have facilitated capital through the CBN program. We had to go train our people, prepare them for that program. And I think if you look at it from those who got between 2.8 million and as much as 9.9 million, we also had those who had 500,000. So if you put all of them together, we have been able to drive home, facilitate over $500 million naira into, the constituency.
Well, thank you very much for your time on The Gavel. If you'd like to send feedback, do so via the email address, thegavel@channelstv.com, or you use our social media handles as displayed on your screen. Thanks for your time. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye. Bye.